guys, welcome to Punky's World. Whoa. Sorry, I have a cold. I told you I was going to do the history of East Windsor. I started my research and then I remembered. I got this. By Michael C. DeVito. I am going to insert some images that I found online in this video. I'm going to try to find, okay, some interesting stuff to tell you about. First of all, my family came to East Windsor, Connecticut around around 1880. I think they were there in 1880. From Enfield, Massachusetts. Now, East Windsor actually had a pretty sizable population. According to the 1880 census, they already had 3,019 people. Well, this book is from the 60s, I want to say. This is from the East Windsor Historical Society in the village of Warehouse Point. They have two villages, Warehouse Point and Broadbrook. Broadbrook is where my family lived. Can't find it, but anyway, the last population was a 1965 estimate of 8,500. They're right on the line of 10,000 nowadays. So about the same size as the town I live in. Okay, what are these? Whoops. Oh, that's the list of selection through the years. Wow. That's the churches. Is that the Methodist church right there? Scantic Meeting House. Nope, that's the Congregational Church. Catholic Church, Episcopal Church. Here it is. My family's church. The Methodist Church. Did I say my parents? I meant my family. It's a beautiful church. And yes, this book is falling apart. If you were paper as old as this book, you might be falling apart. I realize some of us are as old as this book. Actually, this was their church also. Some of us are younger and some of us are older than this poor book, but so we're going to get out of churches here. Okay, here's the school. Let's see. I'm just quickly scanning the names because some of my family are in this book. This is a map of East Windsor, by the way. You want to pause it and take a look? Let me see if I can find Broadbrook here. I will highlight it for you. It'll be easier to see than me trying to point it with my finger. Let's see, Broadbrook, Broadbrook, Broadbrook. Broadbrook. Well, that's the Broadbrook post office, but that area is Broadbrook. My father would argue that they have other villages besides Broadbrook and Warehouse Point. And he may be right. Okay, here's the Broadbrook grade school where I'm sure my grandparents and uncles all went. Oops. And again, you were as old as this book. Well, if you were paper, as old as this book. Okay, here's the school in 1951. Oops, not there. Down there. Oops, right there. Again, definitely had family that went there. And here's the old Broadbrook School. I know my family went there. That's the last day of classes ever at the old Broadbrook School. This town was founded by farmers. The reason that it was settled, I should say, is because it had the topography was nice and flat. It wasn't hilly and bumpy. It was flat. And it had very fertile soil and, of course, the Connecticut River. It became a hub for tobacco farming. That was huge industry. Even in the 50s, when my father was a boy and would go down there on the train, he literally took the train from right here in Douglas right to East Windsor. So he would be dropped off by an adult, picked up by an adult, but he would ride on his own. He would pick tobacco while he was down there. It's one of the things that he did while he was down there. So he was working as barely a teenager. I believe he had his first paper route at 10 and started working steadily at the age of 14. And you wonder why he only lived to 73. Well, 2 days shy. But yeah, and I've heard a lot of stories of tobacco picking in my family because that was huge industry there. There was also the mills. The H.O. Cheney Mill, which I believe was not in East Windsor itself, but everybody from East Windsor that worked textiles pretty much worked for them. I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, here's the libraries. They actually have like 3 libraries in East Windsor, which is insane. Okay, here's the what they're calling the Melrose Post Office, which used to be the Broadbrook. Oh no, that's a separate one. Melrose is another village in town. And so is Windsorville. Windsorville is where the cemetery is, where my family is all buried. This is war stuff. It's funny. My family worked for H.O. Cheney. Let me tell you a little story about that. My great uncle, James Dalzell, if you'll recall in one of our earlier videos, I said he had a tragic death. Well, I'm about to tell you the story. He was would have been a chauffeur. But back then, it was with a horse and carriage, because it was 1911. He was the driver for Mr. Cheney of the H.O. Cheney Brothers Mill. He became an integral part of the Cheney inner circle entourage, whatever you would like to call it, and he used to bartend for their fancy soirees. Well, one day he was bartending at one of their fancy parties, and he was chopping the ice with an ice pick. Because you've got a block of ice, and you had to, you can get nice little ice cubes. You had to make them. So he was chopping, and he must have been holding it with his other hand. That's how I imagine this happened. And he put the ice pick accidentally through his hand. They didn't have antibiotics. He got a very severe septic infection, wound up in the hospital, and eventually he died from it. And his wife married his brother. At least she's listed as his wife, and we're pretty sure it's his brother. Okay, one. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right here Wilson, James E. This was my father's uncle, and he's listed in this list as having been in World War I, which he was. I highlighted it. Oh, poop. That's half the book. That's okay. I'll pick it up after. World War II, I think. Oh, wow. This is one of those letters from the president that you get when someone in your family who served in a war passed away. Oh no, this one's from the town. Huh. And they have war memorials, of course. Okay, here's World War II. Right. Wells, West, York. Do not see Wilson. Now, he wasn't living here at the time. That's probably why. Even though, what is this? 1944, okay. These members of town for their service. Nope. That's okay, because you know what? Oh, here's an interesting one. Late in 1954, it was announced that a Nike guided missile installation would be constructed in the Albert Phelps property on Phelps Road in East Windsor as part of the chain of similar installations in strategic areas all over the country by the U.S. Army. The missiles would be launched in the event of an attack by enemy aircraft. Construction started sometime thereafter, and dedication did not take place until 1960. The Nike Hercules missile site, named by Battery A, 2nd Missile Battalion, 55th Artillery, was formally dedicated at 9 a.m. May 28, 1960. The site was named for Colonel Lemuel Stoughton, a Revolutionary patriot and native of East Windsor. Wow. And then it goes on to talk about Colonel Stoughton, and you can see the dedication. Right. You see it? There. Oh. Hold on. There you go. Well, there you go. So that's pretty neat. Oh, there's a missile installation. I don't know if it's still there or not, but the telephone in East Windsor. East Windsor got a telephone on October 19th, 1885. The Southern New England Telephone Company petitioned the East Windsor Board of Selectmen for permission to install telephone services. How cool is that? I'm sorry I ended up turned around. Permission was granted, and 2 years later, the first poles were installed. Company records show that from 1880 to 1910, the Windsors were served by the Hartford Exchange. In 1910, the Windsor Exchange was established. When they say exchange, they mean like the area code is 860. The exchange is the next three numbers, the next three digits, and then the phone number is the last four digits. So they had the same exchange as Hartford until they grew and had their own exchange. And they say the Windsors because there's Windsor, East Windsor, and South Windsor. Here is the Broadbrook Fire Department in 1908. So that's pretty cool. Here's Main Street, but I will put a picture up here of Main Street. This is the Broadbrook Hotel. My father remembers that building. I don't know if there's a picture of the train station or not. But my father would go down. Huh. They've had a jail there since 1875. It says, the first reference in the Old Town reports concerning lockups is in 1875, that year, the town paid TP's and Son $39.86 for lumber for lockup at Broadbrook. Also that year, E. Hubbard was paid $22.50 for expenses on lockup at Broadbrook. And Wales Sugden was paid $8.13 for goods for lockup. If you add all that up, what it cost them to build a jail, let's just say 40, 62, around $71, $72. That's insane. I'm trying to find the mills, but I guess the mill wasn't in East Windsor. But the Cheney mill, there's tobacco farming. That was huge. You know, you think of North Carolina, you know, Winston-Salem, whatever. But truthfully, Connecticut was huge in tobacco farming. Now, I don't know which, look at the covered bridge. That's over the Scantic, by the way. Okay, I don't see the R in Cheney's. This is the author. There we go. But H.O. Cheney and Mills ended up there employing a lot of the town as tobacco kind of moved out of the town for whatever reason. Anyway, Cheney Brothers was might have been in Manchester actually. Let me look while we're talking. Let me so you can still see me. Alrighty, let's see what we got. Cheney Brothers. Okay, the Cheney Brothers were a silk mill. And they have a historic district. They were in Manchester. Okay. They had 175 acres of Manchester. But this is important to my family because a lot of them worked there. They also worked at, hold on, mill in Broadbrook. Mill. Oh, Broadbrook Mill. I think that's what it was called. Broadbrook Mill. Okay. Yep. The Broadbrook Company. That's what it's called. The Broadbrook Company was a textile mill. Here we go. Let's see if I can. Whoa. Okay, there's a picture of it, but it's too far away. Can I get closer? Oh, there we go. Sorry if that made you dizzy. Okay. Okay, they were 1954 The plant was sold to Hamilton Standard, and they began to manufacture circuit boards. It is on the National Register of Historic Places, however. It was put there in 1985. It was partially destroyed by fire. It is now residences. As of the 80s, it's condominiums. You know, what was left after the fire. So after it went to Hamilton Standard, then it became residences like a lot of other mills, like the mills that I've shown you here in this town. So, yeah. But a lot of my family worked there as well. In fact, I had pictures. The picture that I showed you when we were looking at the scrapbook, that was employees of the Broadbrook Mill. And in fact, the Historical Society has my great aunt Mabel's tools from the mill. Forget what they're called. They're hooking. I forget what it's called, but they have her tools. They were donated by my family, which is so stinking cool. I used to have pictures of that. I don't know what I did with it, but the Broadbrook Mill, also a big part of my family's history. There was a 1950s hurricane. Hold on. 1950s hurricane. East Windsor, Connecticut, that my father talked about. Okay, here we go. Hurricane Connie hit, Hurricane Connie in 1955. And it made its way from North Carolina. Let's see. Okay. All right, the storm moved. Okay, the storm hit Connecticut. I don't care about all that crap. I want destroyed entire neighborhoods, entire downtowns, and entire families. Okay, water in it, and nope. That was not it either. Huh. I said East Windsor. East Windsor, Connecticut natural disasters. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. I want hurricanes. Wow, there's a lot of tornadoes. Holy crap, there's a lot of tornadoes. But I'm looking for hurricanes. Ow. Ow. Hurricane. Oh, Hurricane Carol. Okay. Hurricane Carol, 1954. Bingo. Okay, 1954 Hurricane Carol. All right. This is the hurricane my father was talking about. She slammed right into Connecticut August 31st, 1954. Oh no, August 25th, 1954. In the Bahamas on the 27th, Carol intensified. Let's see, she hit Long Island. She flooded LaGuardia Airport. Okay, here we go. She made landfall again near Groton, Connecticut, and she impact New England. Okay, Hurricane Carol produced hurricane and gale force winds across New England. Strong winds from Carol destroyed nearly 40% of the apple, corn, peach, and tomato crops from eastern Connecticut to Cape Cod. Overall crop damage was estimated at $22.25 million in that time money. So we're talking billions now. And $461 million worth of damage. So it's well in the billions in today's money. Connecticut shortly after high tide. Oh Lord. About 2,000 people were stranded when a rail line between New Haven, I'll get it out one of these days, and Rhode Island was flooded. Produced, yeah, this is the one. Oof. Here's the storm surge. Can I show it? There you go. Sorry guys, I know that's dizzying. But it's so fascinating, isn't it? I mean, it just, Augusta, Maine was hit. North Livermore. Holy crap, throughout this Maine. Wow. And acres of corn in North Livermore, Maine. You gotta know where that is. I mean, we're talking about the middle of Maine here. They don't get hurricanes up there. It's too far inland. She was a nasty bitch. Pardon my language. But this girl didn't take any prisoners. I mean, she just... So, yeah. Her name was retired, needless to say. Yeah, she struck Connecticut after high tide. My father remembered, my father recalled the storm to me a couple of different times. And it was Carol. Because he was down there that summer when it struck. And he said it flooded the house. He said we were in water up to our knees everywhere. Was a lot of damage. But that is not in the book. So just to share that little bit of history with you. I do remember hearing also stories about the fire at the East Windsor Company, Broadbrook Company, sorry. Broadbrook very much is the center of East Windsor because that is where the town hall actually is located, is in the village of Broadbrook. So, but they have the villages of Scantic, the villages of Warehouse Point, the villages of Melrose, Windsorville, and of course Broadbrook. Excuse me, they're all part of East Windsor. Here in New England, it's a very common thing to do that. Here in this town, we used to have the village of East Douglas. I don't know if Old Douglas was considered a village or not. But they dissolved the village and made it part of Douglas and changed all the addresses, and yeah, it's a pain in the neck. Everywhere you go, like the post office is in East Douglas. Chances are at least one person, or more than that, but at least one person who's writing an address, because if you look it up, it still says East Douglas. Sending something to our post office is going to be sending it to East Douglas. Just saying. Manchog is a village in Sutton, although Sutton disavows any knowledge of Manchog. We say that half jokingly because, yeah, Sutton doesn't like to acknowledge that Manchog exists. And there's another village in Sutton on the opposite side called Wilkinsonville, which was named after a guy named Wilkinson, nicknamed Wilkes. The town was nicknamed Wilkes, the village. I don't know that they have a post office, but I know that Manchog does because used it. And the only post office in Douglas was East Douglas. Unless... Oh, hold on. Hey guys. Had to change the battery. That died quick. Anyway. This is a different memory card I actually have. Other memory card in the computer because I'm putting up the updates video right now. Anyway, I was talking about the villages. I know to some people it's confusing, and it is, because not all places do villages. It's kind of a New England thing, more of a southern New England thing, because even my mother from Maine was a little confused by that. By the whole village thing. But like I said, in southern New England it's fairly common. Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, we all do it. Let me know if your state does it in the comments. Do you have villages? I went to rename it and I hit a button and rename disappeared. There. Oops. How did I get an X in the middle of the word channels? Just over in video, and I will put it up as we speak. No, you know what? I believe that. And I will get this uploading as we speak. Now, like I said, that's a common New England thing. Let me know, like I said, in your part of the country, if it's common to divide towns into villages. I'm not sure why it was done. The history of that. I think it was, I think it had to do partly with the Indians, the natives, because like manchog is an Indian word, and that part of town was Indian. Indian territory, like way back in the forever ago, and maybe that's what they called it. And the river was called that. Not the river, the big lake was called that, and so it just stuck. I mean, I don't know. This is just conjecture on my part. And Wilkinsonville was named after a person, a prominent person. His name was Wilkes or Wilkinson, but I know it was named after a person. Broad Brook, I don't know how that came to be named, but it did. And like I said, I wish I knew better about these things, and maybe you do. All done. Okay, that's going up all by itself. The updates are loading. Like I said, if I knew, I'd share. But I don't, unfortunately. would imagine there's probably a brook somewhere in Broadbrook that's broad. I don't know. That would be my guess. Excuse me. Again, these are just conjectures and educated guesses on my part. I know I keep using my hands. I'm a Frenchman, and an Irishman. As a Frenchman, I tend to talk with my hands. It drove my mother crazy. But yeah. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're enjoying these historic videos. I'm going to enjoy inserting a few pictures here and there. By the way, I should have noted that the picture of the building that I put up when I was talking about the ball in the East Windsor video was not the town hall. I didn't find a picture of the town hall. That was actually the Enfield Hotel, not the town hall. Just so you know, just so there's no confusion, I just put that up because it looked festive. And I thought it was a good representation of what the town hall might have looked like at the time of the ball. That was the only reason. I wasn't trying to mess with anybody. It was the best I could come up with. And I wanted to be honest with you about it. Because I wasn't trying to screw with you. It's just, and I realized I didn't mention it in the video because I didn't know exactly where I was going to put it in. But yeah, I've got a couple of pictures of East Windsor to put in here. So, plus I showed you some in the book. I also have another book, The Windsors. East Windsor, South Windsor, Windsor. I feel like there's another one. Anyway, that also is a great history. I'll show that to you real quick. Hold on. I'll be back. Okay, here's the book. It's Looking Back, Historic Images of North Central Connecticut. Historic Images of Windsor, East Windsor, South Windsor, and Windsor Locks. So, this is volume 4, which is the Windsors. Okay. Disasters. I bet they have pictures of that in here on 11. We're done. Look at the people. Look at that dude. One of 2 East Windsor representatives to the General Assembly. Huh. Okay. That is the Broadbrook Drum Corps. Wow. Here are the farmers. Actually, these are guys installing trolley tracks in East Windsor. That's pretty cool. That's the Connecticut River. Look at the policemen. This is still almost a brand new book in terms of its. There's the train station. It's in Windsor. That is where my father would come in. I'm so excited to have a picture of that. Okay. Disasters. 111. Okay, here we go. The photographs on the next few pages are from disasters. Okay. 36, 38. Oh, wow. I wonder if they have the 55 hurricane here. Nope. Oh my gosh. Ouch. These are some earlier disasters, but my family would have been there for these 36 and 38 hurricane and flood. So, like I said, I hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane. I know I did. Mom, what are you doing to me here? You know, strange as it sounds, I really feel my mother's love in this blanket. I know that when she was holding on to it, she didn't know, you know? It wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is an Afghan. I used to make these, that kind of thing. It was, she was holding on to something as she was holding on to life. And I think that I just feel her life in it. I feel her, I don't want to say her life force, but I don't know how else to explain it. I just think that's a terrible way to explain it. I just feel her, I can see her hand holding it in a tight, like baby fist grip, like a baby would hold their blanket, and I feel her love. I feel her. I know that has nothing to do with this video, but it fell down and she got my attention. So I had to tell you that. But I feel it in the blanket. I know it's silly. But I'm sure everybody has things that they feel their relatives in. Now, I'm going to go help Bob with the rest of those clothes. And I will be making a video about that later as well. So stay tuned on the channel. Thank you so much. Please click like, and remember, over on Kid Missing, 500 by 2023. Hashtag it. Because we're doing phenomenal. And we're not doing half bad here either. We're up to 7 subscribers. We have a lot of views. Again, subscribe. Click the bell for notifications if you choose. Make a comment. Even leave a smiley face emoji. Like the video. Dislike the video. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I am Angelina Wilson, also known as Punky. This has been another trip down memory lane, another genealogy video. Thank you so much. God bless you. Bye-bye.